the Fountain of Youth Historic Canon demonstration. I'll tell you a little bit about our Canon. Our Canon is actually a replica of a Canon that would have been here in 1565. It's a 900-pound iron cannon that can shoot a 6-pound cannonball approximately 3/4 of a mile accurately, or a mile, which is the distance to the Bridge of Lions. So this cannon is a 6-pound breech-loaded muzzle, a breech-charged muzzle loader, which is a lot of words, but what it means is, unlike these 3 cannons that you see in front of you, these 2 are English, that one is Spanish. These are muzzle loaders, so that means the cannonball, the black powder, get rammed down the muzzle, primed and fired. And then before it can be fired again, someone needs to come along with a sponge on a long stick and clean out the embers. This cannon can be fired because it is a breech charge. And if you see the cylinder standing right next to the cannon with the 2 rings, which is called a servidor or a powder mug, it's loaded from the back of the cannon. So we also have one loaded in there right now. This cannon can be fired 3 to 4 times a minute. And there would have been 20 cannons along this waterfront. So 3 to 4 cannonballs a minute, 20 cannons is about 60 to 80 cannonballs downrange, which was pretty good firepower for that day. So I said 20 cannons along this waterfront. That would have been to protect that field behind you. Just a little bit of history about this. It's going to be fast. The archaeologists from University of Florida found that there were remnants of buildings and artifacts that dated back to 1565. So the round foundations and the octagon-shaped foundations, which are now have some strictures there, that was Indian structures, and the square and rectangular shaped ones were Spanish structures. So when Pedro Menendez landed here on September 8th in 1565, he was met in that field by a group of Indians, the Timucua Indians, and they actually lived there peacefully for about 9 months. After 9 months, bad feelings kind of formed because Pedro Menendez did something that no other Spanish explorer did. He brought women and children with him. So the Indians knew, this guy's gonna last. So bad feelings kind of formed. Someone burned down that village. Now, the Spanish kept great records. They told the King of Spain everything they did, but they never told him who burned down that village. So Pedro Menendez takes all his people, moves across the river, and lives on the island for about 6 years. Since the island is very hard to defend, wasn't really a good place. So then he took all his people and moved back to where downtown St. Augustine is today. So as I said, this field is actually where American history began. This is, you see the city says oldest city in the United States. This is actually the oldest continuous European occupied city. It is 42 years older than Jamestown. In fact, there were grandchildren being born here before anyone ever stepped foot in Jamestown. And also the Spanish had documented when they met the Indians, they had their Feast of Thanksgiving. So the first Thanksgiving was actually held in this field 55 years before anyone stepped foot on Plymouth Rock. So in order to fire this cannonball, 6-pound cannonball, you need half the weight of the gunpowder. So that means you need 3 pounds of gunpowder to fire this cannonball. 3 pounds of gunpowder, similar to 3 sticks of dynamite. But I promise we are not putting 3 sticks of dynamite in this cannon because we'd like you to leave here with your hearing. But we will put a small amount in, enough so that you will get the sight, the sound, and with the wind blowing, maybe the feel of what a cannonball would have felt like.
Can I touch that?
Sure. 6 pounds. I'm going back.
Where do you buy these?
Where do we buy them? Yeah.
I'm like,
Actually,
okay,
I have
who
to
makes
tell you,
cannonball balls?
We actually do not put a cannonball in this cannon because the Coast Guard really doesn't want us firing anything out of the cannon. They kind of frown on that. So let's go fire a cannon.
We're pretending, huh?
Right.
I get it.
So we're using the same cannonball over and over and over
That's right.
again.
It never comes out really. So I am going to say Fuego means fire in Spanish. If you want to take a picture, put your finger on the shutter, aim at the Canon because it's going to be fast. Okay? I will step out of your way. Por España, fuego.
Wow.
And that's how it was done. And that was about 2 ounces of gunpowder.
Look at all the
Versus
birds, you
the
scared me.
versus the 3
Yeah, the birds are
pounds.
used to it. Versus 3 pounds.
pounds.
Right.
Wow, that was only 2 ounces.
Right. Does anybody have any questions?
Did anybody that fire those things have any hearing?
That's right. Well, actually, no. The Spanish, it took about 5 people to fire this cannon. They would have had 5 of those servidors or those powder mugs lined up. And just by rote, they would have changed them. You know, one would have gone out and dropped in water. The other ones would have been automatically loaded. They were probably deaf, but because they knew the routine, they just kind of followed
So they were
along.
probably deaf, huh?
Oh, they were probably deaf. Yeah.
They probably went.